Hey everybody, welcome to the Luthiers Podcast. I'm Paul Roney. Today on the show, you're going to hear from a variety of people, actually. We decided to go ahead and go out and get a few clips for you guys this week. You're going to hear first from Joe Parker, and then Casey Marvin of Veritas Guitars. We've got Stephen McSwain after that, and then a sort of roundtable discussion with Clayton Pledger and Gage Halland. We just thought we'd check in with some of the guests that we've had on the show before and kind of see what some of their NAMM plans were, or maybe just what they've got going for 2018, and just kind of catch up. The last clip is a little noisy. It's a very live recording, but you are going to want to stick around all the way to the end of that because, at least in my opinion, one of the cooler things said is right there. Thanks for listening to the show. If you would like to support us, you can do so very easily. There's a link in the podcast description to become a patron. Thanks for listening.
We're in the shop of Joe Parker in beautiful, scenic Eugene, Oregon. And Joe, tell us a little bit about what you have in store for 2018 for Joe Parker Guitars.
2018, trying to get cast my net a little wider.
Mm-hmm.
Try to get some new homes for the guitars.
Right.
I mean, that's what I'm finding now is it's tricky to find someone who wants to deal with somebody putting out as little stuff as I do.
Mm-hmm.
It's because and it makes sense. It's like, how much could they possibly make off of me?
Mm-hmm.
But that said, I am talking to a rep in Southern California right now, and I've sent him a guitar. He's got a few prospects to try to find me a dealer, because with my output, like, realistically myself, I could probably do 15 guitars this year.
Mm-hmm.
And if I could send them all to one dealer, that'd be fantastic. So
yeah.
If he can find somebody who's and he's got a couple guys he's going to talk to, if you can find somebody who's like, hey, if you want to be exclusive for a year on this guy, we can do that. So that's what's in store for 2018. Last 2017 was time of streamlining my processes and my offerings, really.
Mm-hmm.
Really deciding what it is I want to make.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we can make any number of stuff, but what is the thing that I'm going to offer? And I finally, after 7-8 years of experimenting, I finally kind of narrowed it down to what I want to do. I've got a couple guitars that I think are they're not everything to everybody, but they're a solid representation of what I want to put out there in the world.
And are you talking, when you say streamlining, are you talking about just like focusing on each model that you produce and just making sure that it has like a very specific set of features, of woods, of finishes, of appointments and things like that, or is it something else?
No, that is pretty much it. It's I'm finding that in itself is kind of deceptively difficult kind of thing to do.
Yeah.
Is to say, I'm going to do this and I will not do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because realistically I could do that.
Right. Yeah.
Sure, I can do whatever. But what I'm finding is, that's not helpful
mm-hmm.
to to the audience I'm trying to garner. It's like, yes, people want choices, but within a framework, and it's up to me to establish that, to say, this is, what I've got. And to be honest, I haven't known what I wanted up till now, because there were so many options and I hadn't answered those questions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Really,
mm-hmm.
It's like I had thought about them and thought, I might like this, I might like that.
Mm-hmm.
But as once you make the thing, other questions come up that you
Right.
hadn't thought of, and you're
Right.
like, oh, and the things that you thought were important maybe weren't that
Right.
important.
Right.
So, through trial and error and just time passing, I've answered a lot of the questions I needed to answer,
Mm-hmm.
and now I can like say, okay, this is what I want to put out there.
I made some of that realization in the last year too, because and sometimes it takes like writing down what could I offer and what do I want to offer, and so I put together a Google Doc, a Google actual survey or questionnaire kind of thing, but it's a form that is that I can send to prospective customers who are thinking about a commission. And before I put it up on my website, I sent it to some friends, and I said, "Would you go through this and like order a guitar from me now?"
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah.
And a couple of the responses came back with some obvious confusion about what the the drop down menus meant.
Okay.
So like a person was asking for this option and this option that were not compatible with one another, but that was not clear in the form.
Okay.
Or another person just replied to me an email and just said, be careful with how many options you offer, because it's possible that you end up with that sort of that paradox of choice where you go to the store to buy a toothbrush and you walk down an aisle that is 40 yards long, looking at nothing but toothbrushes, and you just want one toothbrush, and so you pick up one, and then this one's better, and so do you want to like cause that sort of confusion or that frustration or that analysis paralysis for your customers? I've considered recently offering just if you want to shoot for the moon, that's great, but here are 3 trim lines.
Right.
And it's really, really specific. And within that, all of these options that I offer are condensed into this one description of a trim line.
I think that's important. I think that's I think that in itself is it's a tough proposition for a builder, but it's necessary. I think you need to do that. Because I mean, no matter what you put up, and I've seen it so many times just on social media where somebody puts a picture of a thing up, it's inevitable. So one of the first comments is, "Oh, could you do that with this?
Right.
Could you do? Oh, that's beautiful. Could you do that with this?"
Right.
It's like no matter what you put out, somebody's going to want something. Somebody's going to come up with a twist on it, and which is valid and great. But I don't think you need to chase that. If they're serious and they want to come, the commission you, then that's that.
Do it. Yeah.
But besides that, it's just somebody popping off saying
it doesn't mean you need to like put up a whole new like page on your website saying like now offering.
Exactly. To the contrary, you really need to establish your what you want to put out, and so that's it. And again, it's tougher than it sounds. And it does. For me, it's taken years of trying things, failing at some things, figuring out some things that I didn't think of before, and to finally feel comfortable that I'm not missing something, that I'm like, I don't know, I haven't tried that. It was like, yeah, I tried that.
Check off the list. Yeah,
exactly. And you have to do that for yourself. You have to do that for your own peace of mind. So that I'm finally in a place where I feel comfortable with my model and what I want to offer with that model. So I'm kind of ready for the next step, where I'm trying to reach out to more people and make more connections out there. But yeah, it's kind of it's a little daunting, just because I've kind of worked through my personal network of people I know, with the guitars. So now I have to I have to find people I don't know, and I got to find the Joe Parker guitar people that I haven't met yet.
Yeah. And it's, I think it's a challenging thing for a lot of, one person shops where we tend to be people who spend a lot of time in a space by ourselves, working on, and we've had several of these conversations just recently with people we've interviewed, and being like figuring out a way to be your own cheerleader and to and to very you kind of feel nervous, like, I don't want to shout too loud, I don't want to look like I'm no, you're just
it's almost better. It's almost better for you to overshoot and hype yourself up and have somebody take you down a peg. It's almost better. It feels worse, but it's probably better in the grand scheme of things for you to do that. For you to be like, I'm the greatest. Make the best guitars on the planet. Prove me wrong.
Right.
Say something.
Right.
Because you see those kind of personalities in our world. Not a whole lot, but they're there.
Yeah. And you get as the audience, as the customer, you get to choose how you respond to it. Either you look at it and you shrug your shoulders and you go, I suppose so, or you go, oh, let's take a closer look there.
Right. Or you bought it and you're like,
done.
This guy's the greatest, man. He told me so. So it is kind of it's self-deprecation is good up to a point, but after you've got to know your worth, and the value of what you do, while at the same time meeting the real world, and trying to figure out where that balance is, So for 2018, that's my goal, and in addition to building more guitars. I had a goal this time last year, that I wanted to make a certain number of guitars. And I hadn't made this number of guitars before. So I wanted to, hell or high water, that's what was going to happen in 2017. And I got there. So now, I'm sitting on a number of guitars because I wanted to build my inventory. I wanted to work out my processes and get, to where it's not like every guitar is not like a painful birth. It's just like, it's part of the work-a-day situation. So now I'm sitting, it's kind of like I got a few guitars here at one time, and I've never had that, and it's making me a little anxious. I'm like,
so you've met your goal.
I met my goal,
and your goal is scary.
Yeah, it's like, now what do I do? So, like I said, I'm trying to work it out with this rep, and hopefully we'll find someone who can accommodate my guitars and find them homes. But I do feel hopeful about Southern California. I think my style of guitar could go over there. I just feel like my guitars are kind of, they're a little out there, but they're also quite familiar. I'm trying to make them familiar. I want them to be, something that could be, your number one. It's like they're not overly ornate, but they're not, hunks of junk either. So it's a weird target to aim for. High middle.
Well, we talked about this, I think, at length in your interview last fall, where trying to capture that feeling of when somebody looks at an object and they get that feeling of familiarity, and they get that sort of emotional response, and your instruments have very much a vintage kind of response that people are looking for, but they want it in a guitar that plays.
Exactly.
Plays well.
And that, and luckily I'm very confident about the guitars themselves. As far as their workability, and I worry about the things I can't control, like the aesthetic appeal or how somebody's going to respond to it, But that just kind of goes back to the experimentation. I'm finally at a point where I've answered a lot of the questions I needed to, as far as the construction of them. They don't look a lot different, but on the insides there's quite a bit of difference. Just little things that I've changed along the way. So they're ready. They're ready. So I'm trying to get them out in the world.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for the update, Joe.
No problem. Anytime.
Talk about NAMM and your plans for NAMM, and I'm not going to do this accent the whole time, but I thought it would be funny to start this way.
It's John.
It's John with the Luthiers podcast here. I'm here with Casey Marvin of Veritas Guitars.
Hi.
And we're talking NAMM, right? What's your plans? What you going to do? Where are you going to be?
NAMM 2018. This year we decided to take a break and not display, but our good friends over at Walrus Audio, after we decided that, they called me up and they were like, hey, so we're doing a big booth this year and we want to have... Exactly? I don't know. I don't know how big it is. I guess I'll be surprised. But they asked us to supply 9 guitars to them, to NAMM. So it's kind of like...
Yeah, they're doing their entire booth as Veritas, like not...
Yeah, they're not having any other
guitars from any of the other... Because they've always kind of, every year they come and they have like some... seafoam green painted guitars from other companies that are always really cool and people drool over them. But this year, it's all Veritas.
Yeah, which was fun because it was unexpected. We didn't think that they'd ever do that. And so now we don't have to pay for our own booth, and they're just letting us do. So we're going to color coordinate all the guitars and make it walrus themed. And
well, tell us some of the details about that. So
well, they don't know about it fully, so we can't.
Okay. Well,
it depends when you're going to release this.
Okay, that's a good point. Well, this is going to go up this week. So let's say, what little bit can you tell us about it?
Well, yeah, they will all be the walrus color. So they'll either be the walrus seafoam green color that whatever their Pantone color is. Yeah. Black and white are the only colors that we're going to do.
Okay. For
their booth, which will be kind of fun. And the nice thing is that all these guitars will be for sale. So we've been doing like seafoam green pick guards on some of them. So if someone buys it and it's like, I don't want a walrus colored guitar, we can make a new pick guard for them. Yeah. And
so some of them it'll be a little more color coordinated, and maybe, they might not want to mess with that, but it'll still be cool because it's a cool color.
It is really cool color. So. Yeah, so I'm excited about it. I don't know what their booth is going to look like or anything other than they asked us to supply the guitars, and I talked to Colt yesterday, and he said that they just checking in, make sure we were on top of it, because they shipped their whole booth without a single guitar.
Yeah.
So, okay, here we go.
Yeah. Well, cool. That's exciting. Well, we also, we haven't talked, on the podcast for a little while, so tell us a little bit about other big plans for Veritas for 2018.
Well, yeah, we got a lot of, hopefully, big things coming our way. We've decided to make the change to go back to selling direct only.
That's pretty huge.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. We were really excited to do the dealer thing, and it was going really well. But we just kind of looked at it and felt we looked at what Kiesel's doing. Kiesel guitars and
yeah, sure, formerly Carvin.
Yeah,
with those Kiesel.
And they've always been direct, and they've really set a really good pathway for that, or example, I guess you should say. But you look at a lot of these other companies, Fender and Gibson, and a lot of these big companies are trying to do the direct sale,
right?
But aren't necessarily able. And I kind of looked at
their model is a little different. For sure.
Well, I feel like once you get to a certain point with so many dealers, you rely on them so heavily, you can't really make the transition out of it. Where we were in this unique position to where we had great relationships with our dealers. We loved them. They did a great job selling our product and representing us. Very happy with them. But we felt like if we were going to do that, now's the time to do it before we add more to our roster.
Sure.
And so we decided to make that leap.
What are some of the things that helped you to go direct only? Like the things that you put into place? I mean,
Yeah, we had to prepare ourselves for, because obviously the customer relations is going to be a lot heavier.
yeah.
So just having more information on your website, making it easier for people to go to purchase it without
you did some revamping of the website, right?
Yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah.
We're spending some money, and we're doing a lot of it on our own. And trying to get it to the point of where it's just as streamlined and as simple as possible.
Yeah, everything they need to know is right there.
Yeah, but this also allowed us to bringing, because we're gaining that percentage back, and so we can give that to the customers.
Yeah.
In a sense. So we're not necessarily gaining more money out of it, but we're opening up more opportunities for people to get guitars at a lower price.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things that we were doing through dealers, now you can get that at a lower price, because it's like, hey, this is what you get, take it or leave it. And then at that same price point, what they were selling them at, now you can come on and kind of customize that guitar into what you want it to be, which is kind of cool. So it's kind of
for sure.
different tiers. So we're looking at that. And then we've got some other things coming later this year that would be for another episode if I'm asked to come back. But I don't wanna
when you're
share
ready,
yet.
you just let me know and we'll get you back on.
Yeah.
I'm always happy to talk about cool and exciting new stuff, for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited for this year. Last year was an exciting year, but it was
A lot of growth.
yeah. It was the year of how could I say this? It was the year I decided I wanted to get out of the industry and sell the company. And it was a hard.
We've all been there.
It was a hard year,
Yeah.
but it was a good year. We grew a lot. After stepping back and looking what we went through. I could see the growth now, and now that the pain's over with, and it's like, okay, I learned a lot. I'm able to make the changes and grow from there, and now I'm excited. I'm glad I didn't throw in the towel.
Yeah.
We're gonna push through and make it even better. So this year we expect to do some real big things, though. We're gonna really try and grow our artist roster. And hopefully be able to focus more on our custom shop too.
Yeah.
To be able to do more unique and fun things.
Yeah.
Kind of, how we all start when we start building, things that you want to just do that nobody's done before. And
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's the fun stuff.
yeah.
Sort of what we all got into it for.
So I'm excited about that.
Very cool. Right on. Well, Casey, thank you
Yeah.
for talking to me. And
When you guys are down at NAMM, come by the Walrus booth, Walrus
Yes.
Audio, and tell them to.
you'll probably be around there
I don't know if I will.
a little bit.
I don't want to be that guy who
Maybe
just
somebody will bump into you there. Maybe not.
Yeah, I probably won't be there. I'll
Yeah.
be there to hang out.
You'll be
but
around.
I'm not going to try and conduct a whole lot of business out of their booth out of
Yeah.
respect for them. But I will be there and
Yeah.
be low key.
Yeah.
But if you guys want to see our guitars, go there and act like
Yeah.
you're checking out their pedals.
Yeah. At least pretend.
Yeah.
at least be polite and plug into a pedal while you're there. Admire it, pick one up, and go, ooh, the Fathom looks pretty.
Yeah.
And then you can ogle the guitars.
Yeah. What is this crap? This is a terrible guitar, but these pedals are amazing.
Yeah. Just say that. Just make sure you say that while you're there,
Yeah.
and then then you can play a guitar.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me back on your show.
Definitely. Anytime. We'll catch up again soon.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Cheers, Casey.
Bye, everyone. Bye, John.
I'm digging my new space. I just got to get it set up. You can see I've got the workbench, but then the garage is just piles of just crap.
Yeah. But you're in it now, right? So as you need stuff, you can kind of start to arrange it. And
Oh, exactly. And I actually, it's pretty cool. I bought a paint booth from Saul Cole, He
Oh,
had
yeah?
an old Binks laying around, and I asked him if he knew where I could find one. He said, "Dude, I'll sell you this one. I'm not going to use it." I'm like, "Sweet." So
Nice.
I'm actually going to have my very first official paint booth.
Sweet.
So, which is just amazing, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm pretty stoked about that. I can't wait to get that set up.
Yeah, that can make a huge difference. I mean,
Oh, dude, it's like you should see. I am shocked at what I've been able to pull off
right.
with the bullshit ghetto rig that I've got. I've got a
Yeah.
pop-up tent in my backyard right now that I've been
Uh-huh.
painting up to get ready for NAMM.
Yeah.
And it works. I mean, fortunately, my paint finishes are mostly distressed,
Right.
but it's amazing what I've been able to pull off. You know,
Yeah.
using just this bootstrap kind of rig. So,
Yeah.
but you know, we're getting there.
Yeah, well, let's get into it. And why don't you tell me about your NAMM plans and what are you bringing and what's going to be the cool shit? Where can people find you? You know, all that
Sure.
stuff.
Awesome. No, thanks for having me, dude. This is
Oh, my
awesome.
pleasure.
I'm really excited. Well, I'm of course, you know, everything goes down to the very last minute getting ready for NAMM, so I'm still in the 11th hour putting stuff together. But that seems to and I'm sure you probably know this too. That's when all the magic happens, right?
Yeah.
Magic or disasters. There's no
Right.
So, but I'm bringing one of the things that I made years ago in 2007. I worked out a licensing deal with Ralph Steadman, who illustrated all of Hunter S. Thompson's
Of course.
works. And so I'm doing a Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas guitar line. And I never really did much with it, except Slash got the very first one. And he bought it. It was just one of his favorite books. And so he got that one. He was, you know, cool enough to do a photo shoot for me and allow me to use the pictures, which I've, you know, been hanging on to forever. So my business partner, Steve, and I, you know, finally decided to kind of resurrect it because we really hadn't done much with it. So got some good press going on that for the show. So that's going to be one of the sort of premier spots to take a look at, you know, in the booth. But of course, I'm taking my whole flag wall mount and flag guitar, the Red, White, and Bullets. That's going to be the backdrop kind of focal point. And then I've got, you know, I'll show you some stuff here. This is, you know, the Fear and Loathing guitar, which is
that's very cool.
To be sanded out. And
so
then
is that did Steadman actually paint that, or how does that work with Steadman and the?
So well, the black splatter ink, he did 20 prints for me, custom, just specifically for this project. And so I'll reproduce those because it's impossible. Plus, it'd be a $20,000 piece of art, you know, on top of a guitar, which would drive the price a little beyond anybody's you know, comfort zone. So I have it reproduced, and then I'll laminate it down to the guitar.
Oh, okay, cool.
Here, and then these are prints that I have also reproduced, which I have about 7 of those, and we're only doing 25 of each print.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I'll laminate that on, and then on the back, you'll see here, these are the actual real pages from the 1971 paperback.
Oh, wow, cool.
I mean, it's the real deal, and the cool thing about that is it's such a finite thing, so you're kind of getting a little piece of history there with that. So so with that, I licensed those things, and you know, I'm putting them all together, and it's a pretty. I'd forgotten because it's been a while since I made one since Slash's, so I forgot what a pain in the ass these things are to build. You know, it's like, I mean, it's a lot of work, and so I mean, they all are, but you know, not that I'm complaining, but it's just kind of funny. You're like, oh yeah, it's just a couple prints, and I'll just get it put together. I'm like, no, not like that. So
and I'm sure you left yourself plenty of time before NAMM to do it. Of course.
I've couple hours. I mean, you know, I'll be able to rest for a couple hours before I leave, and we'll be good.
Yeah.
So
sleep on the plane. It's fine.
Yeah, there'll be no off gassing of my polyurethanes or anything. So
yeah, no, of course not.
So no, it's but the fretboard is the actual font from the book cover that says Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and that's inlaid in aluminum. And then we've got the tone layer on there, which is my thing I got a patent on last year, which is pretty cool, with the metal binding and the little metal tray and that kind of stuff. So that's pretty exciting. I'm also bringing a black Ace of Spades this time, which is sitting over here and getting ready to get all the treatment. And so it gets the little cool aces, you know, and things in here. And then so that's a fun one. And then the Brit flag is going too. So I haven't shown one of those at the show yet, so
Yeah.
that'll be pretty cool to have. So we're not. I think last year I had about 6 guitars, some of my own personal ones. I think the Stay Cool and the Machine and a couple other ones, which I'm not bringing this year. So I'll have 4 guitars and to show. So it'll be more of a concentrated booth, which will be cool.
Yeah. So you're doing the same thing that you did last year with the boutique guitar showcase, where you're sharing it with all these guys.
Yeah, and it's such a cool thing that NAMM, and I'm sure you know the story behind it, but NAMM realized that there's such a renaissance of builders like you and I, that are small guys that are boutique builders that are doing these handcrafted pieces, and they said let's give them a spot instead of all the way down in the back of Hall E by the concessions, and I mean, how it is. It's like you get priority as many years as you exhibit at NAMM and things like that. And so they sort of shuffle the deck or reshuffle the deck and have this prime real estate. And it's less expensive than if you went and got your own 10x10 booth. So you get a table, which is, I think it's like 6-foot table, which is plenty of space for me. I can pack this in there and you're great. But it's prime real estate. They have all the press people coming by to check it out, and people know from last year that this is such a cool feature that you can see all these different builders in one spot. So Jamie Gale put it together. I did it last year. I did the Summer NAMM one. I did all the boutique guitar builder showcases on the road. There was an East Coast one that went around to a bunch of stores, Southwest, West Coast, and then a European one. So we did all of them, and it was pretty cool. So you're getting a lot of eyes on from some stores that you have their undivided attention that's actually in their store. So that boded really well for us to get some pretty cool feedback and some new eyes and people who hadn't heard about the guitars before. So, but it's booth 4305 in Hall D. So
305 Hall D.
Yeah, it's a pretty big space, and I think there were 40 builders last year, and I think there may be 60 builders this year. So they expanded it. So there's going to be a demo stage and all that. So it's going to be pretty cool. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, that's massive. I didn't even realize it was that many builders last year. I mean, I only got to kind of just buzz through real quick. I bumped into you. I think I bumped into Doug Cower was there at the time. And I'm not. I don't think I really even got to stand around and talk to Tyfel or anybody else.
It's insane. I mean, the cool thing about it, and I kind of equate it to when I used to go to the Getty when I lived in Los Angeles. I would go. You think you're on top of your game, and you think, oh man, I'm making some great stuff, and then all of a sudden you go to the Getty Museum, and you're like, I need to just restart over and just quit. And it's kind of like that feeling with these builders. There's such insane artisans there. You walk through and you're like, holy shit, this guy is just crushing it, and I need to go back to school. So it's a great little ego check.
Yeah, sure.
You're sharing some pretty rarefied air in that place, so it's cool.
Well, what are some of the guys that are going to be there that you're going to be, nearby that maybe you haven't met them yet, or just even if you have met them, you're just looking forward to seeing them again and looking forward to checking out their work?
Well, 2 in particular, Doug Cower. I've never actually personally met Doug. I've talked to him times on the phone. I know his work, and he's such a funny dude and just great stuff. And you used to work some with Doug, didn't you?
Yeah. I worked out of his shop.
I thought you did. I couldn't remember if that was correct or not. But and so I'm super excited about hanging with him. And then another buddy of mine who I met, his name's Matt Ike, and it's Mule Resonator Guitars.
Oh yeah, of course.
Saginaw, Michigan. I met and I was introduced to Matt through a guy named Dave Hosler, who used to be at Taylor Guitars for about 20 years, and he retired. And he's responsible for the expression system and the G5 and all the super really cool innovative things that happened over 20 years at Taylor. I mean, I think he has about 7 patents under his belt under Taylor's umbrella. I mean, and I knew him from my college days. He had a little store in Travelers Rest, South Carolina, which was near Furman University where I went to college. And his store refretted my 1943 Martin 0018. And so he's a phenomenal guitar player and just a phenomenal human being. And he since has retired and moved to St. Pete, Florida. And so he has a little store called 7C Music, the letter C. Yeah. And he's good friends with Matt and hooked us up. So cool. I had always, kind of been trading emails with Matt and had seen his stuff. And the guy is just such a cool guy and builds these amazing resonator guitars. So we were at the Dallas International Guitar Show together and had talked there. And so he's going to be in the booth, and I'm super excited about seeing him. The usual suspects, Teufel and Spalt, and those guys always come out with some really cool stuff. So I'm really excited about seeing those guys too. So
absolutely.
That'd be cool.
Very cool. Well, and just as far as NAMM is concerned, and as a small builder, what do you consider to be like your goals for doing the NAMM show? Like, why do it? Why be there? It's obviously an investment. Sure. Maybe it's more or less for you than other people. That's but why do you do it, and what do you hope to get out of it?
That's an excellent question. And I think the answer, but we'll tell everybody else. Because it is such it's such a grind. I mean, 10 to 6, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you're on your feet all the time. And, we're not necessarily looking to pick up more stores because, I mean, my build schedule is already pushed out delivery to about fall of 2018 so far. So, which is an incredible, air quote, problem to have. Yeah. But, so we're not necessarily looking to pick up more stores. It's a good time to kind of refresh your relationships with the dealers that you do have. Mm-hmm. And also there's people on the floor that will buy, like I sold a couple right off the floor last year. And so that's a direct sale. And it's just, I think it was even the first day a guy came by and bought one that I had there was the Black Flag. Mm-hmm. And I've since become really good friends with this guy. Cool. A guy named Paul Perkins, and Paul was such a cool guy. He's like, I really think I want to get this, and I had never heard of you before. I was just kind of walking in, it caught my eye, and it was just mind blowing, And so I PayPal'd him an invoice. He paid it, and it paid for the show. You're like, okay, so nice. You see the power of that, and there's a lot of collectors. Of course, the press. You get so many interviews and people coming by and that have never heard of you before, and it's just it's sort of that unique mix of dealers, individual buyers, and press that makes it, absolutely worthwhile.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, awesome. That's very cool. I'm gonna keep you on the line here, but I'm gonna sign off for the show for the listeners, so we can chat about a few more things. But thanks for doing this. Thanks for talking to us and coming on the Luthiers podcast. And we'll catch up with you again later in the year.
Well, one thing, if you're there at NAMM early, you get there on Wednesday. Wednesday night, I'm actually putting on my other alter ego hat. I'm singing a couple of AC/DC songs at the Lucky Strike Soundcheck Live at the Yost Theater. So
nice.
Playing. I've got an AC/DC tribute band here in Portland called the DCs, and Doug Rappaport, who plays with your Winter Group and couple other things. It's just a phenomenal guitar player. He plays in it, and we're going to be doing For Those About to Rock and Kicked in the Teeth. So, so come on down if you're in the hood.
Excellent. Yeah. Hopefully everybody's there. That's fantastic. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Steven. That's awesome.
Thanks, buddy.
Recently, I'm building a guitar for a guy here, but my problem here is that a lot of the musicians that play acoustic guitars want to play really crappy acoustic guitars.
Oh man!
Because they want something they don't feel like they need to really baby and I don't know worry about. Maybe it's a vanity thing, like because there's a certain amount of cool to having like a crappy old K that you're wailing on.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are some great Ks out there, but when you meet, like, Richard Thompson, he's not romanticizing playing some awful guitar. He's going to play the best guitar he gets his hands on. And I want guitar playing to get to that same thing that, like, violins are, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we'll spend $1 million on a concert violin because we're going to make the best music possible with it. I would hope that someday, shouldn't say, I don't want guitars to become like an elitist kind of thing.
Right.
But I would like them to get a little more respect when it comes to like a handmade guitar. It's a handmade instrument.
Yeah.
Why isn't it treated the same way?
Well, what do you think about that, Clayton? When it comes to, I mean, some of the people, like I'm thinking about that video that you had up on your social media, the guy who was doing those demos for you. I mean, that's not a guy who wants a clunker, a plywood clunker.
Right.
I mean, like, who are you finding? Who are you finding that is really digging your guitars?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. It's hard to, it's hard to kind of do a general focus, and like appeal to a bunch of different style players. There's finger style and flat pickers, and I think recently some flat pickers have really been taking notice, and that's been really cool. And it's hard to I've been kind of thinking about honing in on more design of, flat pick guitars and finger style guitars, and just kind of have those two styles available. So
is that when you're considering that, is there a body outline that lends itself better to flat picking versus finger style, or is it more of a bracing kind of thing?
Yeah, for the flat picking, it's more of like a larger size body. So I kind of do like right now, my go-to model is like a slope shoulder D style.
Yeah.
I really like. It's kind of like, kind of looks like a J35, only it's a little bit narrower in the lower bout, and it's a lot thinner.
Yeah.
I kind of like the thinner bodies, that don't, where the sound doesn't really get lost in there. It's a lot more projection.
Yeah, articulation without that boom.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's cool. Well, this definitely hits on the topic I was hoping to talk to you guys about today, and that is, our next series of shows on the podcast is going to be kind of wrapped around NAMM a little bit. As Paul and I were talking about, asking people about NAMM and things like that, we're like, well, not everybody's going to NAMM, and there are a lot of people that really can't, don't want to, or just that's in a really different world for them. But at the same time, sometimes people in the new year, new tax season, people
Tax returns are coming.
People, change things in terms of like, new in this year, talking about models, talking about offerings, talking about different accoutrements, talking about pricing structures and stuff like that. Sometimes in the new year, people go into that kind of thought process. So for someone who is on maybe the spectrum of not NAMM, because you might not want to be. You might want to be mortgaging your house to do that, right? So what do you do? What do you do? So the general question is, what's new for 2018? But anytime a new year rolls around, what are you doing to really to focus yourself on either production goals or getting your name out a little bit farther? Trying to attract new players and stuff like that. What kind of stuff do you do?
I want to know too.
That's a good question.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because my approach, I shouldn't say my approach. What I've been taught so far is everyone makes guitars. They go to guitar shows. you stand around for 6 hours, and you go home and do it again the next day. And then you go and talk about how great it was to see all those guitar builders.
Right. and meet all the people that are really inspired about building their first guitar, which is always a lot of fun.
It's encouraging for sure to know, especially I think of the Merrillhurst show where I've never exhibited, I've never spent more than 6 minutes at a Merrillhurst show. And I don't, that's not a dig against them, it's more like the cacophony of sound drives me mad. But I think, is it worth my time there or my money spent being at that show? Am I actually getting a return?
Yeah.
And I think of that with even NAMM. It's like, I understand there are those, there's those guitar makers where NAMM's exactly where they should be. Mm-hmm. I don't think the custom acoustic fingerstyle is where I need to be.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure guitar shows in general are where I need to be. Because it's the same sort of thing. I mean, am I better off spending the money to go to a guitar show and meet a bunch of great builders, or do I take that money and, fly to one of these amazing dealers that sells fingerstyle guitars and introduce myself and play the guitar with them in their environment? Which gets me a greater return, because you could argue easily that having your guitar played by Paul Huemiller or I forgot the guy who plays his guitars in his videos, but going to Asheville to Dream Guitars, paying all the money to fly there to meet him, to deliver a guitar, and being able to explain one-on-one in a quiet environment like the attributes seems a lot more beneficial to a guitar maker than standing in a crazy loud convention hall with a splitting headache and some guy asking you about glue, and another guy and so I'm just starting to think that maybe guitar shows are not what I want to focus on at all, and I'm really starting to think that my money's better spent arranging those one-on-one meetings with people like that. I mean, Paul does a video, and how many thousands of people watch the video? Mm-hmm. You're only going to get 700-800 people at a guitar show that like to see your stuff, some of these smaller ones. Yeah. And I think there's value in like the local one here, like meeting guys like Clayton, you, and Paul, but flying to Germany to the Berlin show, while it would be a great excuse to go to Germany and write it off at the end of the year.
My wife has been saying, why don't we go there?
I don't know that there's a direct benefit to selling instruments. I don't know. I could be completely wrong, and if you talk to me next year, it would be different, but we'll see.
No, I like that perspective though. It's like instead of let's do a fishing analogy here. Instead of getting a bigger net, you just get a more accurate spear.
And I really think that if someone goes to Guitar Gallery, Heartbreaker Guitars, Dream Guitars websites, it's either because they're really passionate about guitars and they're actually looking at them in their free time, or they're in the market for a guitar. Mm-hmm. They're not a guy who goes, hey, there's a guitar show in town, I think I'll head to it, And I don't have to put my guitar in the hands of 50 people.
Right.
And I don't, my own OCDs and anxieties, I don't have to talk to them.
That's right. I can tell you also that, I'm selling one guitar at a discount because it's the guitar that everybody picks up and scuffs up the face of it at the guitar shows.
It's more expensive now.
Yeah. Well, what do you think, Clayton? What are you going to do?
2018. I'm with Gage. I'm not too crazy about traveling around hitting shows, even though I've never really done it. I don't really know exactly what it would be like. Maybe it'd be a lot of fun, but I agree. The cost, doesn't really make sense to me at this point. I love the Merrillhurst show. I'll be there every year. Yeah. As long as I'm invited. It's like I love being there, and I'm the whole internet thing just seems so overwhelming, and focusing on the world, as like a marketing area,
It's
I'd rather
scary.
just focus on Portland,
Yeah.
in this general vicinity.
Yeah.
It's kind of where I'd like to hone in. So one thing we've been talking about at home is maybe doing a few house concerts throughout the year.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, and it was like my sister-in-law brought it up the other day, and I was just like, yeah. I'd been kind of thinking about it, and then my wife was like, yeah, I've been thinking about it too. We're all just like, yeah, we're all kind of thinking about it, and then realized the other day, it's
My wife and I were going to talk about the same thing.
Oh, is that right?
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, your house has got a beautiful parlor, you know, just like that's like, it'd be
we
really
kind of have
fun.
like the craftsman living room, dining room connection, you know, so you've got a big open space, and there's so many amazing guitar players in town, you know, and so it'd be kind of a, you know, the idea is just to kind of throw out an invitation and have a limited amount of people RSVP, and then have a couple of players perform, and then sit around and jam. You know, because I don't get out that much. I really don't. You know, it's like I work a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just like, you know, getting older, settling down, or what. You know, I went to my first Portland concert at Mississippi Studios for first time in seemed like a long time.
It wasn't Willie T. Taylor.
No. Yeah. I saw Steve Gunn, which was amazing. You know, he blew me away. But you know, it's like I think that was another thing. I need to get out more. You know, I need to quit being such a hermit. I need to quit like just working all the time and get out and you know, meet more folks and I think that would be pretty helpful for my business, actually.
Yeah.
It is hard to sell them when you never.
I know. It's tough. It's tricky. Yeah. So.
Well, these are good thoughts, gentlemen. These are good thoughts, and I think that you're bringing up some really good points, especially when it comes to the NAMM model is go to NAMM, spend a lot of money to try to set yourself up with dealers. The whole mission, which may or may not be successful and may not bring you the returns, and you still stuck with the bill of traveling to NAMM and doing all the stuff to it. But really trying to cultivate an audience and really trying to cultivate a particular player, you know, an audience that would be most appropriate for your type of instrument, that sees the craftsmanship, that sees the tradition that you're trying to uphold or push, and so these are good thoughts. These are good thoughts indeed. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, what are your thoughts around?
I'm so early in the game that I just need to get more iterations under my belt and just find out at all what type of person, you know, likes to play my instruments.
Yeah.
Because I've let friends borrow it, you know, friends who very much sort of classic rock and blues kind of players. Someone who can do a little bit more jazz on the, you know, with some chicken picking here and there. A friend who's just a straight up prog metal player.
Gent.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I've gone to some old friends and colleagues who are either jazz musicians or jazz instructors and things like that, and you know, I've gotten some good feedback from all of them, but and maybe that's the best. That's the best feedback is that my instruments are appealing to a wide audience right now, but I still need to keep on working on the local scene, I think, and getting a few more instruments out there, letting those players do the talking for me, and no, I'm right there with you. It's a journey, I think.
Yeah.
It's a journey, I think, and
I think one of the things that I've changed, because I had the same, like, this idea that I had to appeal to a lot of
right.
guitar players. And the more I thought about it, I was like, no, I'm going to make stuff that I like.
Yeah.
There has to be another one out there that likes it.
Yeah, yeah.
There has to be. And so I just keep focusing on that. And if I keep making, if I'm the guitar I'm making right now, as I'm making it, like tapping on the body and I'm listening to the whole thing, if I keep going, wow, every time, it makes me want this thing to be amazing at the end. So I really feel like part of that is what translates into selling at the end is if you at the end of it, it's construction, send it off, and you can say, this is the best guitar I've made out of my shop. It makes it a lot easier to sell. And, you know, I think shooting for the largest audience a lot of times doesn't work in guitars, especially handmade guitars. Because if you want that, then buy a Taylor.
Yeah.
No offense to Taylor, but you know, I think Broadway Guitars had, it's like an $1,800 Taylor, a $10,000 Taylor, but they're the same model. And I played them back to back, and they sound exactly the same. To their credit, they made them sound exactly the same.
Right.
So I thought, man, it's kind of sad, and I don't want that to be I want people to play my guitar and go, of course, that's a hell of a guitar.
Yeah.
And I don't think that if I shot for this broad spectrum of players that I would be able to do that. Because there are people that are going to pick up my guitar and go, no, this isn't right. And that's great. That's totally awesome. Because then I know what kind of guitar they're looking for.
Right.
And I've had that experience where somebody contacted me and they're like, yeah, this is what I want. And I'm like, I don't build that at all. Like, the wrong guy. Completely. But I can shoot you in the right direction.
Right.
It does.
Right.
So I think that that's one of the things that I'm going to have to change is it's scary if you're trying to feed your family on guitars. But I think that if you start to narrow that down and you become known for being that specific type of builder, it becomes a lot easier when you have instruments available. I have one of these, you kind of expect what it's going to sound like, so want to get it.
Right.
My 2 cents, whatever it's worth.
It's worth a lot.
Yeah. I kind of love the fact that I have about 6 or 7 or 8 guitars in the house right now, in the shop. Because when people are interested, rather than trying to like understand exactly what they want over the phone,
You're like, play this.
yeah, just have them come over and sit down
Taste
and
this.
like,
Tell me
okay,
what you
here's
like.
8 guitars, like.
But then you end up making those guitars again because they just go, this is amazing.
Yeah, right.
I want this.
Right.
Oh, God. Another one. Okay, fine.
Or they just take it.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Which is
That's
nice.
nice.
Which is
nice
better.
too.
What can I do to get you to this car today?
Yeah. I recently had somebody really love one of the guitars he was playing, and then really loved the neck on another guitar, and so I ended up
You were doing
taking
that.
the neck off.
You were doing that when we came
that's
by.
Right,
yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So
And you just finished that, yeah?
Yeah, a couple months ago. It makes it a lot easier to really nail down exactly,
It's
what
a
somebody
scary
wants.
purchase, though. If you don't know, it's terrifying. You go home and tell your significant other, I'm spending this much on a guitar I've never played and I've never heard.
I had one guy tell me, like, I haven't told my wife about this, but
I have one of those now that's like, I'm going to slide you money quietly through PayPal for the next few years. And I'm like, all right.
that's
And your wife finds out, don't.
Bitcoin payments.
Well, I had
maybe we need to start working in cryptocurrency. That's what's new for 2018.
That's right.
No, I had the same problem though. I had 2 guitars. I built a batch of 3, and I had them. These 2 guys were playing them, and they both wanted the same guitar again. And I was like, I got it right here. Want to buy it? They're like, no, it's a special thing to get it built for yours. Okay, fine. So I'm building 2 more Granadillo guitars. I just want to build something else. They're great. I love them, but like, no Brazilian? No, nothing sexy. Come on.
Well, cool, guys. Well, I really appreciate your time today, and the thoughts that you have about guitar building, and and putting your guitars into the hands of players. This is important stuff, and it's good ideas, good thoughts that our listeners, I think, will enjoy hearing about from. So, Clayton Pledger, Gage Allen, thanks very much today.